I see the clear difference between someone who's making 10K plus, 20K plus per month, and someone who's not making jack shit.
There's a pattern.
There is a fucking pattern.
Do you think that some people are just hopeless?
In order for us to operate on certain levels, we need to have standards. If there was a version of you right now making 10K a month and he started to live your life, how would he operate?
Even if you become a burger flipper at Burger King, you better be the best burger flipper the franchise has ever seen.
You've been in space for 9 months. How much should you be making by now? Have a little urgency. Dude, you're not being proactive at all. Like, if you want to make 10K a month, your standards need to be 10K a month, and you need to act upon a 10K a month guy.
He had 0 sales calls that day. He closed 4 deals,
Yeah.
right? I think that day he made 1,500 in comms. In a 2-day time span, I think he had like 4 calls on his calendar. He closed 9 deals.
shit.
Now, mathematically, that's very disproportionate. How does that make fucking sense? Well, guess what? They're not being process closers. They're not bitching and complaining. Oh, marketing sucks. No, man. They're like, yo, fuck that. Give me the dialer because, quite frankly, I'm not starving. I'm closing fucking deals. Even before I look at a rep's sales call recording, I can already know how good this guy is by... Welcome back to the Dynasty. And we've been absent for quite a while. And due to popular demand from all 3 of you, thank you, Mom, Dad, and Yasser, we're back for season 2. And we didn't plan on having seasons. It's just that, well, we stopped posting content because we've been apart for quite a while.
We're just lazy, you know.
Exactly right. But we're back in the studio. And so some life to update. And June was on SalesCon. And so we're going to go through what he learned from SalesCon. From people like Taylor Welch, Matt Ryder, Dean, Will Hingston, JD. I think that's it. If I forgot you, then please don't send hate mail to my mailbox. But yeah, how you been? It's been a while.
Before we talk about SalesCon, I need you to talk about Paris here. The Paris incident.
Why Paris?
Well, you tell me. What happened over there?
Well, I had a great time. I went to Paris and I had some croissant. And I took a backsliding lesson, mon ami. And I took a stroll by the Tour de l'Eiffel. Yeah.
Guys, this is what I'm talking about when I say Brian
How
is a
amazing is my accent de français?
when I say Brian is a sociopath, this is what I'm talking about. This man, no feelings, no emotions, no friends. Am I your friend?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know. Okay. Well, what happened was
What
lock in.
happened?
The keyword is lock in. That's your favorite word. Favorite 2 words is June. I gotta lock in.
And you gotta have the lock emoji, and then you know the steaming emoji is like, you know, the emoji that's going like this.
Can you actually whisper that right now? June, I
What?
gotta lock in. You always do that to me.
Dude, we gotta lock in, man.
Exactly.
Okay. Now is not the time to fuck around.
I've been listening to that for the last 2 years in a row.
Sounds about right.
What happened was I was in Dubai. You left to Paris because you wanted to go to Paris. I didn't really want to go to Paris because I really don't know why Paris is so good, honestly. And just like, it's all hype in my eyes. Like, if anyone tells me, hey, if any girl or any guy tells me Paris is nice, or like, oh, romanticizing Paris, I'm like, the underdog inside me is like, oh, shut up. Like, it's not good.
Why does the underdog have to do with anything?
I don't know. It's just
This
like,
makes no sense.
it's just the rebel inside me. It's like, no, it's not that good. Like, have you tried Barcelona, Croatia? Or
Barcelona's great.
Barcelona's great.
Yeah, I like Barcelona.
I like it
Yeah.
also. But it's like, well, Paris, come on. Like, all these people are romanticizing Paris. So that was my preconception when it comes to Paris.
Okay.
And then you kept on telling me to go to Paris. Dude, out of all these countries, why Paris? Out of all these cities, I'm sorry. Out of all
Wow,
these cities.
the Parisians in the comment section, which is probably none of you, but maybe yes, sir. They're mad. It's like,
Yes.
Europe is not a country.
Yes, sir. So going by Dignum, he's not from Paris, actually. He's not in Paris. Is he? Are you in Paris? Well, leave a
He
comment
lives
below.
in Paris, doesn't he?
I don't know. When I went to Paris, though, he was like, oh, my dreams come true.
I love Yasser, man.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
All love. So what happened was you were like, keep on persuading me to go you tell me that you didn't call me every day, but you did call me every day. Hey, June, like, Paris is so nice. And we got to go to what? Saint-Tropez?
Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, we got to go there as well. I'm like, I don't know that place, and I don't want to go. I love Dubai. I like Dubai. I've been in the momentum when it comes to my own things, you know. So that's that. I think you convinced me for 9 days straight, and I was like, okay, fuck my life. I'll go. because you told me, hey, we're gonna shoot podcasts, we're gonna travel around, we're gonna do some fun stuff, we're gonna shoot content as well together. I was like, okay, cool, let's do that. And then the D date come for me to go to Paris. I actually 2 days before you gave me a ring at my 2 a.m. And then what do you say?
I don't know.
What do you say?
I don't know.
June, we gotta lock in. I gotta lock in. I can't have fun anymore. I gotta lock in. So literally that day, you came back to Dubai. And I was left with a plane ticket to Paris from Dubai with Airbnb all sorted out, with my travel plans with you, with podcasts and everything. That's what happened.
This is the best sob story ever. Do you want a box of tissues?
I do need a box of tissues, actually.
Actually, it's right here.
Oh, there we go. There we
Well,
go.
to be fair, I said, I'll pay for your plane ticket because, there's a very wise thing that a very wise girl told me when I was in college in America. And this was right after I broke up with my first and only girlfriend. And then I was like heartbroken because I think we're together for 7 months, which, I think it's to this day is still like the longest like time I've like been with a girl. And then my female friend, homegirl, picks me up from my fucking $300 a month dorm room. And then it's like, oh, hey, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings. By the way, Buffalo Wild Wings, greatest of all time food establishment.
I like the hot dogs.
That is great. I mean, America is even better. But anyways, she picks me up and then we go, because Buffalo Wild Wings is great, because why not, right? And then she sees me all sad and, I was looking out my window and all that kind of shit. And then she's like, Brian, there's always 3 sides of the story. Your side of the story, their side of the story, and what actually happens.
So I'm talking about what actually happened.
And I think that was about 8 years ago. That's a long time. That quote still never left my mind because I think it applies to a lot of things. Like in this fake scenario, as an example, like the lies that this man is telling. And also at the same time, like if you hop on a sales call, what is the prospect side of the story, your side of the story, and it's something in the middle, right? Because the prospect side of the story is, well, I haven't taken action because I'm in research mode because, well, I've been busy with my work. And your side of the story could be, well, you're procrastinating, right? And so that's what's interesting thing about it. It's all perception. It's really all a lie. And what it really is this AI revolution that's coming at our hand. But long story short, the point I'm trying to make is that you're a liar. Anyways.
So what happened was, you came to Dubai. I went to Paris without you, and I landed in Paris. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my life? Why am I here? Made the best out of it, though. I met Yasir Dignam. Thanks for I actually took you out for dinner, so that's actually. But I did that. Met a few people and just locked in my room. Just saw the Eiffel Tower because the Eiffel Tower was like 5 minutes away from my place. So just saw that. It was. My ego tells me it's shit, but it was actually nice.
So you had a positive experience.
You're was welcome. Actually nice.
Or as in French, they'll say de rien.
And the food, like, it was all like, I went to the best restaurants myself alone.
Fancy.
The food was actually pretty good.
Did you have the French onion soup?
No.
So good.
I think I tried something else, and I tried all the desserts. Wow.
Macaron?
No. I think Korean macaron is better, though.
Maybe.
You
have a crème brûlée?
Oh, yeah.
Crème brûlée.
In Paris?
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
it's great.
No,
it's great.
It's great.
So it was my ego tells me again, and my confirmation bias tells me that Paris wasn't really that good, but it was okay.
Do you think that if you keep using fancy terms that you sound smarter?
Well, that's what you've been doing the last 10 minutes.
Confirmation bias? Like, bruh.
I don't even know what that means, but I just did it because... Do I look smarter now?
That's what I thought. Well, so that's your side. My side of the story is, well, I got to Paris and I actually like Paris. A lot of people hate it. I think there's... By the way, if you're listening to this, I know we're like talking about random shit, but there's different life and sales lessons that intertwine with this. So stay with us. So whenever people go to Paris, people say like they come back and they're like, man, Paris is shit. It's a shithole. They all say that. Why? Because they have high expectations. So same thing with New York City. When people, oh, like the city of love, the city never sleeps, the city of romance. They go there, it's like bam, 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 or like they see Emily in Paris on Netflix, and then they go to that thing, and it'll be like this amazing thing, and then they'll come back and say, oh man, Paris, because the expectation is so high. So the problem with setting an expectation very high is the fact that the best case scenario is that it meets the expectation. So it's like, well, yeah, I mean that's what I expected, but a lot of times what happens is it doesn't meet the expectation, and now you're disappointed. Right? And so when I went to Paris, I knew that life lesson. So everyone's like, oh, Brian, Paris is, yeah, like maybe I don't like it, but let me just go there for the first time. So I went there, I want to say like 2 years ago. So this was when I was in Europe, because when I got into trying to make money online, essentially, and then when I got into sales, I was like, dude, I want to travel Europe after I started making money, because I was living in my parents' house back then. So that's what I wanted, right? Everyone has their own thing, and so that was my thing. So I went to Italy and I went to Paris. I'm like, man, this is amazing. I was freezing my ass off, but it was great. And so this is like I think my second time going, and dude, I still like that. You know, I like speaking French. I'm still trying to learn English, but if I wasn't doing that, I'd definitely be studying French for sure, because I love that language. Anyways, long story short, is I got there and I realized how inefficient Paris is. I almost said how inefficient Europe is. Then I know the Europeans in the comments like, Europe's not a country. I was like, dude, I know it's not a fucking country. I'm not American, okay? Haha. Anyways, so I realized how inefficient it is. Or maybe Dubai just more efficient, because in Paris, I'm like, dude, dude, I ordered food. I think I told you. I'm like, June, to get my deliver food, I have to go down to the lobby. What the fuck? And then I have to use a key to open my apartment. What is this? Yeah. You know? And on the ceiling, it didn't have the light bulb thing. I'm like, what is this? It had a great view, by the way. It had a great view, like but the sunset in Paris. Woo, yeah. Ooh la la, beautiful. So that was great. I'm not complaining at all, but like man, I love Paris still, but I'm like, man, this is really inefficient. So I'm like, I want to focus and I want to work. So I don't think it's the best, most efficient environment. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. So I had an apartment Airbnb booked. It was a pretty nice Airbnb. I think I was paying, I can't remember how much I was paying, but quite a bit. And I was like, well, I didn't even, I just didn't even stay for the remainder, right? I didn't even get the money back. But I'm just like, you know what? Let me just go back to Dubai. So
let me just go back to Dubai, not think you're my best friend.
Dude, you make me sound like a terrible person.
No, it's not making you sound like a terrible. You are a terrible person.
When in reality,
no, you are a terrible person. You're manipulating me.
See, he doesn't even let me finish my sentence. That's but you know what? At the end of the day, long story short. But dude, I'm like, okay, dude, I'll pay for your plane ticket and all the kind. I'll reimburse you, my friend. Right? Anyways, but let's move past this, shall we?
Right, let's move past this.
Let's move past this.
I'm okay now. Like, I don't need any public apology, but I'm okay. I forgive you. So
public apology. Anyways.
So we move on to, so I went to Mexico, Playa del Carmen, just random. Yeah.
Why Mexico?
I had a business partner, not a business partner, it's just a project, and shouldn't have been involved in this. But whatever happens to me is my fault at the end of the day. So
it is
my fault, my decision, and lost focus to a lot of things. I got super sick at the same time, taking 12 hours a day worth of sales calls. Oh. And the other guy who was supposed to do the marketing, he was actually having fun times.
Like what?
I heard giggles.
Okay.
In the next room. I heard giggles while I'm super sick and I had like a 38 degrees fever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't even sleep because I was shivering the whole entire night. I show up to the call at 6 a.m. I hear giggles with a woman in the other room. And I'm like, okay, this
How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it's not about feelings. It's about what needs to be done as an Asian. I mean, my mom always told me, hey, like whatever you do, like do it the right way. And from how I do things, she can just check where my mind is, where my mentality is. And seeing how that guy lived his life, I was like, okay, time to jump ship right away. And then we got to talk about SalesCon. So I went to Miami, but I told you I didn't want to go to SalesCon.
Why not?
I just wanted to get locked into Dubai. I like Dubai. I was like, why do you need to go to Miami?
See, you wanted to get locked in also.
I do
with
want to
with
get
the
lucky.
lock emoji right next to it.
Exactly. I didn't want to go to Paris, but I want it is what it is. So you're I think 4 months or 3 months when 3 months before SalesCon actually was there. Like there was an announcement from Matt saying like, hey, like SalesCon with all these good
Cool
dudes.
cats.
Yeah, the cool guys, you know. You called me up in June. SalesCon, we gotta go. And I was like, dude, you gotta fix your visa first. Is that fixed? No, I'll fix it. We gotta go, June. I was like, okay. Bought my VIP ticket, bought my ticket, plane tickets, the hotel room. And guess what? Guess what? Who couldn't make it to the SalesCon again? And guess who was alone in Miami? All alone. All alone.
There's on the iPhone, there's a GIF of the tiniest violin playing. It's like, oh, you poor thing. Dude, cry me a river. First of all, again, you see June manipulating reality and just manipulating the narrative that's favorable to him, which is totally not what happened.
But it would have been great if you came actually, because it was a good experience.
But dude, June, tell it to us. That's not what I said. I said, June, okay, SalesCon, I don't know if I can go. I prefaced that very clear. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can go because of my visa situation.
No, that's not what you said. You said, we gotta go.
Yeah, but I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can. I prefaced that very clear. Anyways, long story short, okay, I can't play this childish game with you because I'm the grown up here.
Yeah,
clearly.
so now I want to talk about what I learned in SalesCon.
Let's go to that.
Um,
Finally, a productive topic.
It's not what I learned. It's more like we need to be reminded more than what we need to learn more.
Okay.
And it was like tons of good reminders for me personally. I would say number one was you're never too good to do the work that you need to do. That's number one.
Like an example.
Like an example was, I think there was a headspace with my school community, for example, Sales Edge, school community where I was like, how do I actually optimize this? Like, how do I actually kind of, I guess, delegate to this to the VA when I need to do it? Honestly, delegate this to VA, or there was a moment where I stopped even the one-on-one calls that I gave out for free, which is fair because it's $97 a month program. My one-on-ones are way more valuable than that.
Yeah.
But I stopped giving out, and I mean, the members in schools dropped dramatically from there. I kept on uploading new materials, but I was really like creating a community, in my opinion, and I could have done better. I didn't know, but I was paying ignorance taxes as well. So with that, it was like, okay, you're never too good not to do the things that you need to do, number one. Number two was, now I think you're going to ask me, hey, June, like, who was the best speaker? It's really hard to choose, but what really resonated with me the most was Sean Ray, actually, because Sean was talking about standards. And I 100% agree with that man.
What did he say?
It's like too many low standards right now. Too many low standards, and the leaders are accepting it. I'm no leader.
Okay, examples.
Examples like people not showing, at least for my example, like I'll give you a real life example that happened yesterday.
Okay.
I hired a guy. So I'm training a sales team right now for a TikTok shop business opportunity. I hired one setter outside of my school community because I saw potential in them. And I'm usually pretty good with like knowing who's going to be good or not. I think I have a good eye for placement. So I placed him, and the mistake that I made was I only hired one guy in the beginning because we were relying, all the leads were incoming, like literally 50 leads were incoming every single day, and we were in a hurry. You know what the guy said? No, I need to digest the script first, and then I'll come back to you guys. And went MIA.
What do you mean come back to you guys? What you mean?
So I was thinking, like, dude, you're a professional. Like, if I tell you to do it, you go do it. And I told him, hey, dude, ditch the script for now. Just book them in. Don't worry about it. You can fuck up as much as you want, but just book it in. We need someone that can dial, because the business owner was spending $1K, $2K a day on ads, and all those leads just went to drainage. So me and the business owner got impatient, hired another guy from my school community. He literally crushed 2 sets in the first day, just dialing. And I told him, hey, dude, this script, I'll teach you the script. Don't worry about the words. Just dial these people, please, for fuck's sake. And he did it. And eventually the guy came back. So the guy who wasn't dialing, he came back and said, hey, June, I'm ready to dial the phones. I need to get over my own insecurities with dialing the phone. But by the way, do you guys have any DM setter opportunities as well on top of that? was like, dude, you're a professional. And I saw your Loom video. You said you're gonna help us do these things. You said you're gonna do those things, but you didn't. So we ended up firing him. And it's a jungle. Like whoever outworks you, whoever is better than you will always kick you out. It's a competition. It's not like playground over here. That's number one. Number two is I gave out free 30-minute one-on-one for my school community. And there was this guy literally that came in and then he booked with me the first 30-minute one-on-one, canceled on me last minute, and then booked another one, canceled on me last minute, booked another one, canceled on me 3 times in a row.
What were the genuine reasons or what happened?
No reasons, no explanation also on my side. So I reached out to him, I screenshot that. I was like, hey, what is this? Why did you do that? He was like, oh, my bad, my apologies. That was it. After I pointed it out. I was like, hey brother, all good, no problem. I'll just refund you the money. And I just banned him from the group as well. And he's a sales rep. And no wonder. He told me when he came in, he said, it's very difficult to find a job and it's very difficult to perform and not making the money that
I wonder why.
I wonder why, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's the level of standard, and I'm seeing that on a daily basis. Like, I hate to be that negative Nancy, but what amazes me more right now is how low the standard can be. Like, of course, there are people like, for example, shout out to Sandy, or like she's crushing it, making 20K a month, or the students inside my school. There are people that are crushing it, like dialing. For example, there's a guy named Sandro now in my school community. He's like literally dialing like 200, 300 leads. There was one day he dialed like, in Thanksgiving, he dialed 700 leads.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and he's posting every single day what his like results is. There's a guy named Harry as well, Indian dude in Canada with the thickest Indian accent ever, just dialing 200, 300 leads a day. No excuses. This is standard. And these are the people that you're competing with, really. So low standards. And he was saying, hey, like the leaders have low standards. So these guys have low standards. So do your job properly. I don't want to call myself a leader or like a coach or mentor. At most, what I say to my guys, hey, like just look at me as big buddy or your Asian daddy, because you guys never had Asian parents. So you guys probably don't know what standards are or discipline is. So I'm here to give you the whip and the cream, not the whip,
Hot.
And the carrot here as an Asian daddy. And so look at me like that, you know. But what I want to tell you is, like, I mean, in order for us to operate on certain levels, we need to have standards. And what I tell my guys nowadays is, I asked the 30-minute one-on-one is, okay, by now, you've been in space for 9 months. How much should you be making by now? Taking it back from the first time you started closing. And they all say, hey, June, I should be making, right, 10K, 20K a month. Dude, what are you making right now? I'm making 2K a month. Dude, like, if there was a version of you right now making 10K a month and he started to live your life, like, how would he operate? Because I'm not telling my guys to be ungrateful or unhappy. I'm saying, like, have a little urgency. Dude, you're not being proactive at all. You're not being resourceful at all. I'm not talking about money. Resourceful in terms of trying to figure out your solutions, trying to figure out your problem, trying to understand what's really going on. And that's that, you know? Like, if you want to make 10K a month, like, your standards need to be 10K a month, and you need to act upon that 10K a month guy, really. So standards was a huge thing for me. That's what I got reminded of most of the time.
Yeah, but the resourcefulness thing is huge, especially because whenever I'm training a rep, or let's say I'm hiring for a business, so I'm listening to like the call recordings and like how they go about that. Typically, I know even before I look at a rep's sales call recording, I can already know how good this guy is by how they're acting in that whole hiring process.
What do you mean?
So as an example, I'll give like one outside of sales and I'll give you one inside of sales. Okay. So recently, you know, I made a post in this Facebook group. This is for videographers here in Dubai, because I was looking for a videographer in person to shoot some content. And then I posted there. It's like, hey, I'm looking for, here's the date, here's the time, here's the location. Please send me your previous work. And about, I think 15 people reached out to me. Guess how many people actually followed instruction and sent me what I sent them to tell them to send me?
I don't know. All 15.
One person.
Dude,
it's wild. You know what everyone else did? They're like, hey, brother, are you looking for a videographer? Fuck, did you read my post? Like, what? But it wasn't just one person. It was like everyone was like, hey, are you looking for the videographer? I'm like, I said I'm looking for a videographer. I'm like, send me your previous work. Only one person did that. I'm like, man, this is wild. And in the sales space, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm realizing is like, hey, send me your data, send me your call recordings. And then they'll say something like totally random. Like I can't like think of an example right now, but like they don't do that. And I'm like, man, it just boggles my mind. I think it sounds harsh, but in my mind, I'm thinking like it's common sense.
Yeah.
But for I guess maybe it's not. I don't know. But
Common sense is no longer common sense though.
and it's also about like, especially if you're in that position, right? So whether it be in the hiring process or as like actively closing yourself. So also it's another thing too, like the problem solving ability, not just on the sales call itself, but within like your job itself. That also determines whether how successful this rep's gonna be.
Yeah.
Whether in the closing position, maybe they move up to management or like a CRO or like they do their own thing, whatever it may be. That shows a lot too, because typically what salespeople do is this. Most people, here's what they do with this. Whenever there's a problem, they go to like their sales manager, or they'll do one or two things, right? Number one, they just complain about it. Like, oh man, this sucks. There's like no leads, right? Number two is like they go to the sales manager and they just like complain about it. But no human being wants more problems in their life.
Yeah.
Including your sales manager or your business owner, whoever, right? Or your girlfriend. Like the last thing you want to do as a guy is go to your girlfriend and complain.
Yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Just stop it, right?
Yeah.
Let's insert that then Michael Jordan GIF where Michael Jordan goes, stop. Get some help, right? So let's please do that because people start to lose respect for you, right? I mean, there's different contexts, right? If you're talking about like, if you have to like let it out like to your friend or like maybe a therapist, this is a different context, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying in a consistent basis, if you just bring problems to people, but instead, rather people want solutions, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of saying like, hey, the lead quality shit, just complaining about that, I said, hey, what I'm realizing is that the leads are not aware of what we do. So here's the different solutions I mapped out. We could do option number 1, or we could do option number 2. I think we should do option number 2 because of these reasons. What do you think? You could do that, or you could be like, hey, these problems are happening. I already did this on my end. So there we go. Just letting you know. You could do that, right? So as an example, when I was a 7th, there were some issues going on with one department. Now, that department was not related to what my job was because I'm the sales department, obviously, right? But in there, I saw an issue. So I'm like, that's affecting the whole company. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me just try to figure out a solution around this. So what I did was I sought out an expert for that department out of my own pocket. I paid that expert $1,000 for 1 hour of his time. Now, this department is, again, it's not my department, right? But I did that and I took what the expert told me to do and then I started implementing it and I started seeing some positive changes. Yeah. Right? And so I went to the CEO, Matt Ryder at the time. I was like, hey, Matt. So I made a Loom video breaking down. Here are the different problems. Here's the different root causes why it's happening. Yeah. And here's the impact in terms of quantifying how much revenue is costing the business. And so what I did was I did this. Here's a solution I did. And then I started seeing these positive changes. So I think if we rolled it out for other people, I think it'll bring even more positive changes. Here's the spreadsheet that I made. Here's a document that I made. So first I sent it to my sales manager at the time because that's my direct supervisor. So that's what you want to do, right? And then after that, the sales manager was like, oh, you should send it to Matt. I was like, okay. So I sent it to Matt. I was like, oh, dude, I agree with this. This is the best feedback I've gotten all year. Very, very good. And then what Matt did, by the way, props to him, is he stayed up all night, like fixing shit. Like, and I could see him, like, because in the spreadsheet, you know how like it changes like the thing, right? So I could see him on the spreadsheet, like fixing different things. Like, hey man, like, what about this spreadsheet? Can you give me access to that? Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? And so it's not like I was looking for something, but I remember like even later down the line, like Marco telling me the same thing. Is like Marco's like, yeah, like what Brian Choi sent in the Loom, and then I think like 30 other people in different departments saw it. Like, and then people messaged me. It's like this is crazy. And it's not like I was looking for like a reaction or anything like that. I'm like, well, I see a problem, and technically, like I'm not the founder, I'm not the CEO. It's not like I get a raise or a promotion, right? It's not like I was looking for that. I was like, well, I see a problem here. And technically it kind of impacts me a little bit too, but technically it's not my job, right? Yeah. But that's, I don't know, to me, that seemed, I guess because I did like personal development before I got into the sales world, right? Because when I was trying to figure out life when I was 19, when I was at my lowest of my lowest, I was like depressed. I was at a very low moment in life. And that moment, and then how I got into this whole thing was I got into the dating world, right? Because one of the first things was, well, I was a virgin. I see my friends talking to girls. I feel miserable just being by myself. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So that's how I got into the dating world. Like, okay, now I cold approach people, right? So I cold approach girls, Korean girls, like one of the most shut off human beings, species on planet Earth. And then I was like, hey, excuse me. They're like, and I was dealing with 50 of those a day. I was doing like 50 of those like cold approaches, right? And then I was trying to start conversation with random old Korean men. It's like, hey, excuse me, like I'm trying to get this direction.
Were the Korean girls disgusted by you?
It's not like I don't say disgusted. It's just like Korean girls, right? Korean people in general, they're not.
Yeah.
You don't really talk to strangers like they do in America, as an example.
Yeah.
So they have that stranger danger thing, anyways. But I think it's good because it forced me to get thick skin, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that because I did that, and then because of the like the I guess like the gurus I was following at the time, right? They were talking a lot about like personal development. Like it's a very broad term, but what I mean by that is, well, become a problem solver, right? I remember one thing, Owen Cook, right, co-founder of RSD, Real Social Dynamics. One thing he talks about is even if you become a burger flipper at Burger King, you better be the best burger flipper the franchise has ever fucking seen. Because you're not flipping burgers to flip burgers at Burger King for the rest of your life. You're flipping burgers at Burger King to prepare for the big show. And what is the big show? For everyone's different. Maybe you want to be manager at Burger King. Maybe you want to become the franchise owner. Maybe you want to become, I don't know, like Fortune 500, whatever the fuck you want to do, right? Maybe you can become a sales guy, but like you learn the discipline there. Yeah. And so even since then, I was like, okay, like problem solve. Don't give people problems, give them solutions, right? Yeah. So that's why I like carried over. It's not like I consciously did it. Even in the military too, right? In the military, dude, you try to go to your direct supervisor with more problems. Yeah. They're going to look at you like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You think I want more fucking problems? Like what the fuck are you, like they're going to do that shit, right? So that's when I was like, another dating coach told me this, leave a low footprint. What that means is like when you go into the situations, don't even let them know you're fucking there. But you're just solving problems in the background. You're just letting them know, hey, by the way, we had this problem. I solved that. You don't have to worry about it. I'm just letting you know. I found that when you do that, it just gets you further in life, right? Yeah. Not just in sales, but like it's in general. Because, long story short, people don't want problems. People want solutions.
Yeah. Well, playing devil advocate, like I was one of those guys that was just complaining my whole entire, life, but also a big portion of my career, my 5 years career. So I would say, yeah, it's a skill set that needs to be developed, like being proactive about your problem and coming up with your own solutions or finding solutions by paying someone or whatever it is, being proactive with, being resourceful enough to find solutions. That is a skill set that needs to be cultivated. And it comes down to also being able to strategically think on your own and have some thinking time, not only just hustle, but strategically think on what's the real issue, what's the low-hanging fruit, and identifying that and being able to map out what the solutions would be. So you have to have a data scientist type of approach in terms of how you're going to solve things out. I learned this later in my career, unfortunately, and it cost me a lot of deals, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of struggles. So it's ignorance taxes, basically. It is ignorance taxes. And guys that are watching here right now, like this is how you want to live life, ultimately. For especially the guys that are like, I don't want to be a sales guy for 1 or 2 more years. I want to just do my own thing. Well, then this skill set of strategically thinking and being able to solve problems like how you said it, very, very important. Because I see a clear difference between the high performers and even in my own school community right now. I see the clear difference between someone who's making 10K plus, 20K plus per month and someone who's not making jack shit.
There's a pattern.
There is a fucking pattern. And the 2080 rule definitely applies. Like how I see Sandy Kim, by the way, shout out to her. She's went from 14K to 21K working with me one-on-one.
Nice.
She's a savage. Like if I tell her to do something, she'll do it. Like, hey, go do it, go figure it out. Like, all done and dusted. She's like, okay. And she's a woman, so sometimes she's like, but it's hard. But she does it. She does it. And she's such a savage in the phone call. I think you and I know a guy named It's the same thing because I don't know if okay with me sharing this. For 2 years, he hasn't made jack shit. And I got on one-on-one with him. And I was like, dude, this is your standard, and you're okay living this life because you accepted this standard. You're okay with it. So I kind of he had to wake himself up a bit in terms of how he needs to operate. And now you're training him, I'm training him at the same time. And look at his level of development. Literally did like 2K like last week in the last 7 days. And a new offer, by the way, a new offer that he's never sold before.
And mind you, this is not like a lay down sale kind of offer. It's
Oh,
more
yeah.
like just put them through and then we figure out that kind of
I mean,
offer.
plus he's styling because
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect to some of your students, and majority, I don't think they're putting the action, like fucking bullshit. Some of your students are actually putting the work. Like, for example, one guy, I think I saw a testimony from me. One guy had 0 calls booked in his calendar, and yet he made 9 sales, 8 sales that day.
I mean, there's differences. Like, shout out to Tommy. So Tommy, he had 0 sales calls that day. He closed 4 deals.
Yeah.
Right. I think that day he made 1,500 in comms.
Yeah.
And also, Nick Cicciari, right? Nick had in a 2-day time span. I think he had like 4 calls
Yeah.
on his calendar. He closed 9
Good
deals.
shit.
Now, mathematically, that's very disproportionate. How does that make fucking sense? Well, guess what? They're not being process closers. They're not bitching and complaining. Oh, marketing sucks. Oh man, there's no leads. No man, they're like, yo, fuck that. Give me the dialer. I'm going into the CRM. I'm dialing leads because, quite frankly, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. I'm not starving.
Yeah.
I'm closing fucking deals.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I hate the fact that hustle culture is looked down upon. Like hustle culture.
But dude, like the lead hasn't showed up. Like you have no lead to talk to. You're sitting at your desk. We're not even talking about working 20 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting at your desk. What else are you doing?
So you and I, like, I think you said what you said over Twitter, or I think you said it to me personally, was if you're a good salesperson, you would have good show up rate.
Oh,
You
yeah.
said it.
No, good closers have
Yeah.
good show up rates.
Good closers have good show up rates. And I think that's true. It's like, okay, that correlates to now I'm gonna say myself I'm good. But I was closing for you know me. I was still closing till June in your apartment. I mean, I took that show up rate from 80%, and the 80% that show up, they were showing up at the car or the gym even. And I took it up to I think 62%.
That's
Like,
great.
And the way how I did it was I was changing marketing messages and the sequences. I was trying different things. For example, one incident was, so I got it up to 52%. But the thing was, what was happening is that people are still not committed. People would still show up in their car. People would still show up in their supermarket, walking around. Or what was happening is people would cancel last minute after watching a 15-minute video. So what I did was I hired a virtual assistant to DM them as soon as possible and make sure that they put the text sequence in capital letters. Number 1, right now, make sure you watch that. Like, make sure you watch that as soon as possible. So there are people that were just canceling beforehand, but guess what? I was opening up my calendar. Like, okay, that's canceled. I'll still dial it. I still dialed it, by the way, but that was canceled. So I opened on my calendar for another person, and therefore I was able to achieve like 60% show up rate with no one showing up in the car. No one. There were 2 guys that show up in their lunch break, but I still closed them using a partner objection like framework. But again, like that was me looking at things like a data scientist and being like, okay, that's the data, that's the low-hanging fruit. Let me fix on that one by one. And that's how I got people to commit to the show up, actually expecting for the call. And number 3 is, I mean, being able to just not do some bullshit like driving or anything. Yeah. So like, I think you have tons of incidents like that yourself, where I think you are way more of a data scientist than me in terms of that. It's a skill set that needs to be developed, like strategically thinking, looking at things, dissecting things, and understanding what your low-hanging fruit is, and working on that as soon as possible, moving forward, and finding out solutions. Not every time, like every single, not everything, every time a problem happens, like you need to hire a mentor. Like sometimes you can just think of it yourself in terms of what's going on in your life, and just be proactive enough to come up with your own solutions, test it out. Of course, the reason why you're hiring mentors in the first place is because you want to get confirmation. Now I see now when I hire mentors or hire someone who's above me, I'm looking at, okay, I have some scenarios that I want And can these people confirm which direction I need to go? Since I came out with my own solutions, with my own ideas. That's my criterion. That's how I operate nowadays, you know.
Interesting.
I've
I
been
just want
operating
to
the
get
last
there
2 years.
quicker. That's why I'm like, you know, I just have a different perspective on time because like what I saw, you know, like my high school best friend died at 20. So, because I think, because like some people are younger, like they don't have much urgency in their life. And I don't think it's their fault because you just lack perspective, right? And so even, you know, some people ask like, hey, like I have younger prospects on my sales calls. They have no urgency because they think tomorrow's promised, you know, quite frankly. But I think I had that I guess you could look at it as an opportunity, right? So everything's a blessing in disguise, and obviously it's a very unfortunate incident, but
No,
because I had that, I'm like, man, it's that day still hasn't left my head, but almost daily. It's not like I try to consciously think about it. I think it's like deep in my subconscious that it just pops up every day because I saw like you know, my friend wanted to become the best singer songwriter in the country, and he was going to his guitar lesson, and like all of a sudden like he's not on this planet anymore, you know what I'm saying? So when I saw that I was like, man, it's so like that's why I didn't have time to fuck around, you know. When I got into Inner Circle and then I had like I think 3,500 in my total income, my net worth, right, 500 in my bank account and 3 grand in my PayPal account, I'm like, well, the first payment plan was like 3K. I'm like, well, sign me up sign me up, chief, let's go, you know. So but going back to what you're saying too, is it a skills thing? I mean, it's kind of like a character trait, right? But because I don't know. I think, but my question too is this: do you think that some people are just hopeless? At least let's talk about the sales context, right? Do you think like some people are just hopeless? They have no hope in making it in terms of like making more money and like figuring this out.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
controversial.
And the reason why I say that, and I even say this openly in the coaching call that I do, and I say, hey, dude, like in front of everyone, hey, dude, you're hopeless.
Damn.
But just because you're hopeless doesn't mean that you cannot try, though. Because if you're talking like that in a normal setting, you won't even go further in life, honestly. Like get your communication skills up, try your best, try it out. Like do your absolute best. And if it doesn't work out, it didn't work out. But do your absolute best, no regrets. And if the results don't follow, guess what? Great experience. At least in your deathbed, you can say, oh, no regrets. I've tried. So do your best. So yes, there are people that are hopeless. Yes, I don't like to say this as a coach, but yeah, it is. There are people. But the one other side is I like to see this because I'm extremely patient when it comes to coaching. I'm extremely patient. So I like to say that these people just need more time. So what I say to the hopeless guys is, hey guys, I mean, you do understand that, and I keep on telling them, you do understand that you have to work 5 times harder than the other guys. You do know that, right? And I keep on reminding them because if they don't even do that, they stand no chance. It's an unfair world because there are people that are born with certain talents or characters or sales, right? Gift of the gab. I wasn't born with that at all. But it is a problem that you need to solve at the end of the day and your responsibility. And Alex Hormozi already said it, nailed it down. There's no hard or easy. It's just a matter of reps. The reason why it's easy, yes, exception to the rules, you're talented, but the reason why it's easy is because you've put in the reps. So there's no hard or easy. It's just you've done enough reps to make it feel like it's easy or feel like it's hard. It's not real. Hard or easy is not real. It's just amount of reps at the end of the day.
100%. We'll wrap it up there. Now, after watching this episode, you may be wondering, like, okay, but what are maybe some other things I can do to actually make it and maybe become a top closer on my offer and really become successful? We shot an episode about that. So go here, and then we'll catch you there.